I never planned to reveal my wealth to my family, especially not like this. But watching my grandson James stride into my small apartment with that same condescending smile his father used to wear, I knew it was time. Grandma Eleanor. He embraced me with the careful gentleness people reserve for fragile things. His designer suit probably cost more than what he thought I made in a year. I brought your monthly support check early this time. I gestured to my worn but comfortable couch, a deliberate choice that had helped maintain my image as the struggling grandmother for the past decade. Would you like some tea, dear? I just made a fresh pot. Actually, Grandma, I wanted to talk to you about something. He pulled out a checkbook embossed with his company's logo, Tech Front Industries. I've been blessed with another successful year, and I'd like to increase your monthly support to $8,000. I poured tea into my favorite chipped mug, another prop in my carefully crafted persona. That's very generous, sweetheart. Well, I'm worried about you, Grandma. This neighborhood isn't the safest, and this apartment. He glanced around at my deliberately modest furnishings. You deserve better. Have you considered that assisted living facility I mentioned? I hid my smile behind my mug. The facility he mentioned was actually owned by one of my holding companies. I'm comfortable here, James. Tell me about Tech Front's expansion plans instead. His face lit up. My grandson never could resist talking about his success. We're actually closing a major deal next week. Someone's investing $50 million in our new aita division. Anonymous investor, very mysterious, but their money's good. He chuckled. Maybe I can increase your allowance even more once it closes. About that investment, I set down my mug and walked to my bedroom. I have something to show you. Grandma, we don't need to discuss money. I know it makes you uncomfortable. Oh, I'm quite comfortable discussing money, dear. I returned with my laptop, not the old model I usually kept in the living room for show, but my actual work computer. Did you ever wonder why your anonymous investor insisted on meeting only through lawyers? James's smile faltered slightly. How do you know about those meetings? I opened my banking app and entered my credentials. Because I sat in on all of them, dear. Though you knew me as Mrs. E. Richardson from Singapore. Mrs. Richardson. But that's... The color drained from his face as I turned the screen toward him. The offshore account balance glowed clearly. $897,453,289.16. That's impossible. He grabbed the laptop, scrolling through transaction histories. His eyes widened at the recurring transfers to multiple investment funds, real estate holdings, and most importantly, the $50 million pending transfer to Tech Front Industries. Impossible? I took back my computer. James, who do you think funded your father's first business, or your sister's medical school? Why do you think your mother still receives mysterious Christmas bonuses every year? He collapsed back against the couch. But, you live here. You take my checks. You shop at discount stores. I live here because I choose to. I take your checks because I saw how much pride you took in helping me. And I shop at discount stores because I didn't build my fortune by wasting money on overpriced labels. I gave him a pointed look at his designer suit. But how? When? Your grandfather didn't leave me with nothing, James. He left me with knowledge and his black book of contacts. While everyone thought I was just a grieving widow, I was building partnerships across Asia. That bridge club I attended every Wednesday. Board meetings via video conference. Those cooking classes I taught. Investment strategy sessions. James ran his hands through his perfectly styled hair. Does Dad know? Your father assumes his success came from his own brilliance, just like you did. I patted his hand. You're both excellent businessmen, but you never questioned where that initial seed money really came from. The anonymous donations to my college fund. Me. That mysterious angel investor who saved Dad's company during the recession. Also me. Grandma. He looked around the apartment with new eyes, finally seeing beyond the surface, the outdated computer setup that actually housed 3 monitors behind a false wall, the old television that concealed a state-of-the-art trading station, the memory wall of family photos that doubled as a secure safe. Why tell me now? I took back my laptop, pulling up another account, because tomorrow, Tech Front is announcing a merger with Asia's largest AI development firm. The press will reveal that Mrs. E. Richardson is behind both companies. I smiled at my grandson. I thought you deserved to hear it from me first. You're going public? After all these years? I'm 82, James. It's time to start teaching the next generation. Starting with you, if you're willing to learn from your struggling grandmother. He stared at me for a long moment before a genuine smile spread across his face. Not the condescending one from earlier, but the warm one I remembered from his childhood. When can we start? I closed my laptop. First lesson: appearance isn't everything. That's why I live here, drive a 10-year-old car, and yes, shop at discount stores. Real power doesn't need to show off. James looked down at his expensive suit and laughed. I guess I failed that lesson. Don't worry, dear, we have time. I reached for my phone. But first, you might want to cancel that $8,000 check. I think your grandmother can manage without it. As I watched James process everything, I thought about tomorrow's headlines, about the looks on my family's faces when they realized the truth. But mostly, I thought about my late husband's words. Eleanor, they'll underestimate you. Let them. Build something extraordinary while they're not looking. The next morning, my carefully constructed world began to unravel, exactly as I planned. I sat in my modest apartment watching multiple news channels simultaneously on my hidden monitors as the business world exploded with the revelation of Mrs. E. Richardson's identity. Breaking news. Tech Front Industries merger reveals shocking connection to Asian tech giant. Business titan Mrs. E. Richardson identified as 82-year-old American grandmother. Eleanor Richardson, the invisible hand behind dozens of Fortune 500 companies. My phone hadn't stopped ringing since dawn. I let them all go to voicemail: family, reporters, business associates. All except one call. Mom? My son David's voice cracked slightly. I just saw the news. I need to see you. Of course, dear. Bring Catherine and the kids. I suspect we have a lot to discuss. Within an hour, my small living room was packed with more family members than it had seen in years. David and his wife Catherine sat stunned on the couch where James had been yesterday. My daughter Patricia paced by the window, still in her doctor's coat. She must have left the hospital mid-shift. Her husband Robert kept opening and closing his mouth like a fish out of water. James stood in the corner, looking both proud and sheepish. Would anyone like tea? I offered, maintaining my usual grandmother persona one last time. Tea? Patricia exploded. Mom, we just found out you're worth billions, that you've been secretly controlling half our lives, and you're offering tea. Well, I could offer champagne, but I find difficult conversations go better with tea. David leaned forward, his face a mix of emotions. Mom, why? Why live like this when you could have had a mansion, traveled the world openly, lived the high life? I set down my familiar chipped mug. Because that's not who I am. It's not who your father raised you with. But the checks, Catherine whispered. We've been sending you money for years, thinking you needed help. And I appreciated the thought behind every one. I pulled out a folder. In fact, I invested each check you sent. Here's an account in your names. Your support money has grown quite nicely with compound interest. Robert finally found his voice. The children's college funds. Their trust funds, that was all you. Of course. Did you really think your mysterious great-aunt in Europe existed? I smiled. Though I must say, that was one of my better cover stories. Patricia stopped pacing. The hospital donation that saved the pediatric ward. Mom, that was you. You were so passionate about saving that ward. How could I not help? But why the secrecy? David demanded. Why let us think you were struggling? Do you know how many nights I lay awake worried about you? Oh, David. I moved to sit beside my son. After your father died, everyone treated me like I was helpless. Poor widow Eleanor, who knew nothing about business. Even you, dear, you tried to take over managing my finances, remember? He had the grace to look embarrassed. I was trying to help. I know, but I didn't need help. I needed space to build something on my own. Your father taught me everything about business, but nobody knew that. They underestimated me, and that became my greatest advantage. The bridge club, Patricia sat down heavily. Those women you played with. CEOs, investment bankers, and tech innovators from across Asia. We built an empire while everyone thought we were trading recipes and gossip. James stepped forward. She's been incredible. The strategies she's developed, the network she's built. Harvard Business School should be studying her methods. Actually, I smiled, they do. Under a different name, of course. Catherine shook her head in wonder. But surely now you'll move? Get a proper house? This is my home, my command center. Every outdated item here hides cutting-edge technology. That bookshelf. House of servers connecting to offices in 5 countries. The spare bedroom. A fully equipped trading floor. The cookie jar. David's eyes widened. The one you never let us touch. Biometric scanner. Opens my secure files. Robert laughed suddenly. All those times you said you couldn't babysit because of your cooking classes. Board meetings, though I did learn to make excellent dumplings from a Chinese tech mogul. But now everyone knows, Patricia said. It's all over the news. What happens next? I stood walking to my memory wall of photos. With a gentle press, it swung open to reveal a state-of-the-art safe. Next, we begin phase 2. James has already started his training. The rest of you have roles to play, if you want them. Roles? They all leaned forward. David, your software company's new project? It's exactly what my Asian partners need. Patricia, that medical research you've been trying to fund. I have investors waiting. Catherine and Robert, your careers could expand globally with the right connections. You've been orchestrating all of this? David asked. I've been preparing, building foundations, but the choices are yours. I closed the safe. I didn't help you all these years because you were struggling. I helped because I saw your potential. Now it's time to help you soar. The room fell silent as they processed everything. Finally, Patricia spoke, her voice thick with emotion. All these years we thought we were taking care of you. And you were, in your own ways. Your love, your concern, your weekly visits, those meant more than any business success. David stood suddenly, pulling me into a tight hug. I'm sorry, Mom. Sorry we underestimated you. Sorry we treated you like a helpless grandmother. I hugged him back. Don't be sorry. Be ready. Because tomorrow we start learning how to run this empire as a family. What about the press? Catherine asked. They're going crazy out there. I smiled, the same smile I used to close billion-dollar deals. Let them. They'll write their stories about the surprising grandmother who built an empire in secret. But we know the truth. There's nothing surprising about a woman who decides to change the world, even if she does it from a small apartment, drinking tea from a chipped mug. James raised his eyebrow. Speaking of that mug, is it actually some kind of high-tech device? No, dear. I picked up my favorite mug. Some things are exactly what they appear to be. That's lesson 2. Never complicate something that works perfectly well as it is. As my family laughed, I looked around at their faces, no longer filled with concern or pity, but with pride and anticipation. Tomorrow, we would begin their real education in business, power, and legacy. But tonight, we were just a family, sharing tea and truth in a not-so-modest apartment. 1 month after the revelation, I sat in my newly renovated office, still in the same apartment, but now openly equipped with everything I needed. The world had finally settled into accepting the grandmother mogul. Though the press still camped outside occasionally, hoping for interviews, my family had transformed beautifully. David now confidently led joint ventures with our Asian partners, his software company expanding beyond his wildest dreams. Patricia had launched a global medical research initiative, funded by my network of investors. Even Catherine and Robert had found their footing in international business development. But it was James who surprised me most. Grandma? He walked in, no longer wearing designer suits but carrying himself with a new kind of confidence. The Singapore team is ready for the conference call. I nodded, noting how he'd learned to move quietly, speak precisely, and observe everything, just as I had taught him. And the London office? Already briefed. They're implementing the strategy you suggested. He paused. The one you used in 1992. You've been studying the old files. Every night. I still can't believe you pulled off that merger during a global recession while everyone thought you were at a quilting retreat. I smiled, remembering those intense negotiations conducted via encrypted channels while my fingers actually did learn to quilt. Sometimes the best deals are made when no one's watching. The screen lit up with faces from across Asia. My old Bridge Club members, now openly working with the next generation. I watched as James took the lead in the meeting, handling complex negotiations with the same subtle touch I'd spent years perfecting. After the call, he turned to me. The press wants another interview. They're calling you the Queen of Silent Empires. Let them call me what they want. I pulled out a thick folder. We have more important matters to discuss. Have you reviewed the African market analysis? Yes, and I think I see what you saw, incredible potential, overlooked by everyone else. Just like I overlooked a widow with a chipped mug. He laughed. I'll never live down how I treated you, will I? Consider it a lasting lesson in humility. I opened the folder. Now about these emerging markets. The intercom buzzed, my one concession to modern office equipment. Mrs. Richardson, your son is here with the board reports. David entered carrying both reports and a familiar paper bag. Brought your favorite tea, Mom. The cheap brand from the discount store. Still the best tea I've ever had. I took the bag. How's the Tokyo expansion? Smooth now that I'm using your negotiation techniques. Though I still can't believe you conducted their biggest deal of 1998 while supposedly attending my parent-teacher conference. I did attend the conference. I just also closed the deal during the principal's very long speech about proper school attire. We all laughed, but I saw the respect in their eyes. Respect earned not just by my wealth or success, but by the decades of careful planning and quiet power that had built it all. My phone buzzed with a message from Patricia. Her medical research project had just received regulatory approval in 3 countries. Another from Catherine. She'd successfully launched the educational foundation we discussed. Robert's message followed. The European expansion was exceeding projections. You know, James said softly, you could retire now. Everyone knows your power. You don't have to keep working. I looked at my grandson, remembering the young man who'd offered me monthly checks with such condescension. I don't work because I have to, dear. I work because this is who I am. The only difference is now I don't have to pretend to be at bridge club while doing it. David squeezed my shoulder. You taught us all so much, Mom. Not just about business, but about patience, humility, and the power of being underestimated. And I'm still teaching. I pointed to the African market reports. Now let's talk about how we're going to change another continent while everyone else is looking the other way. As we bent over the reports, I thought about how different this was from my decades of working in secret. But some things hadn't changed. The thrill of seeing potential where others saw nothing, the joy of building something extraordinary, and the pleasure of sharing tea with family while planning to quietly change the world. After all, I was still Eleanor Richardson, grandmother, businesswoman, empire builder. I just didn't have to hide it anymore.